Hello everyone, you are about to hear a brief summary of the movie Casanova. Enjoy watching! His mother left Giacomo when he was still a little boy. When Casanova grew up, he started seducing about one woman a day, and it didn't matter that most of the ladies were married. The fame of the Venetian libertines spread throughout Italy. Casanova, tell me that I'm your only one. Of course, I told everyone that. In the evening, Casanova seduced a girl who was in a monastic order, and already that same morning he had to run for his life. As the Holy Inquisition began hunting the confessor. Sister Beatrice is far from the first nun that Casanova has taken to bed. The guy ran across the rooftops. If they catch him, he'll be sent straight to the gallows. So, the lover accidentally ended up at the university where the role of women in society was being discussed. Francesca Bruni, pretending to be a man, spoke up. She advocates for women's rights and refers to the books of Bernard Guardi, of the Venetian writer advocating for equality. The Inquisition has long been interested in this heretic. Casanova was eventually caught, and the nun confirmed that he seduced her. The criminal will be hanged tomorrow, but once again, the ruler of the city interceded for Casanova. The fact is, Beatrice will become the lover of one of the cardinals. Therefore, no one must find out about her loss of virginity. Thus, the prosecution was left without its main witness, and Casanova had to be released again. The Doge declared that he no longer intends to cover for the Lotario. Either he finds himself a wife in the coming days, or he will be banished from the city. Moreover, he must forget about duels and drunken antics. Casanova, along with his servant Lupa, set out to find himself a bride. However, they are all far from perfect. Some snore loudly at night, and others have poisoned their previous husbands. Suddenly, Casanova remembered about Victoria Donato, the famous Venetian virgin. Giovanni Bruno, the brother of the feminist Francesca, has long been in love with her. Giovanni, step away from the window. The neighbors will start taking you for a gargoyle. Francesca herself will have to marry a wealthy merchant who will cover all the debts of her family, and her mother doesn't care what the girl herself thinks about it. Giovanni noticed two men who came to court Victoria. Her father refused Casanova because he was protecting his girl from such a libertine. But Victoria herself has long been suffering from desire and believes that only such a master of love can fully satisfy her. I want him. Please, please, father. Only with him can I be happy. Giovanni immediately attacked his rival and 3 times threw his glove in his face. Casanova reluctantly agreed to a duel, though he introduced himself with the name of his servant Lupo Salvata, as he himself was forbidden from participating in duels. Clumsy Giovanni fences extremely poorly, so Francesca secretly put on his mask before the fight. The girl fought on equal terms with Casanova, until Lupo revealed the switch. You would have killed him. And you? Francesca Bruni, he is my brother. Casanova continued to lie, that his name was Lupa Salvata, because Francesca hates the famous rake. Few people actually know what Casanova looks like. After interacting with the progressive girl, Casanova realized that she was exactly what he needed. However, there is one small problem. Both Casanova and Francesca are engaged. After talking with Giovanni, Casanova found out that Francesca does not know what her fiancé looks like. Meanwhile, Victoria's father is already buying the dowry, since there are only 3 days left until their wedding. Casanova followed Francesca and found out where she disappears all day. In that house, some man was sleeping, apparently her lover. And also, judging by the manuscript, this is the very writer Bernardo Guardi who writes about the oppression of women by men. Now it's clear how he won her heart. The Inquisitor of Venice received a warning from the church. There are 127 complaints written against Casanova, yet he is still not in the news. It seems they are covering for the libertine. Therefore, the Inquisitor started watching Casanova to gather some compromising material on him. It turned out that the sleeping man is just an ordinary drunkard named Bernardo Guardi. But all the feminist pamphlets are written by Francesca herself, and his name is used as a pseudonym. Her books are hugely popular among the women of Venice. My window is open. My dear, there are many windows and so little time. Lippo found out that Francesca's fiancé is named Paprizio, and he is very wealthy. The very Pietro Paprizio, a pork-fat merchant and very fat man, has just arrived from Genoa. He prepared advertising posters, so everyone would know about his excellent lard. Casanova immediately met Fabrizio. He was supposedly sent by Francesca's family. He will help the rich man prepare for the meeting with the bride. The Inquisitor was busy investigating, when suddenly Bishop Pucci burst into his office. The most formidable and ruthless inquisitor in all of Italy. He would send his inept predecessor somewhere closer to the equator, where he would likely be eaten by natives. Pucci will personally take charge of capturing Casanova. The adventurer brought Fabrizio to his home and started rummaging through his things. In a chest, Casanova found one of the books written by Francesca, and lied to Fabrizio that he wrote it. He claimed to be the famous writer Bernardo Guardi. Fabrizio was astonished, because this person definitely knows how to please women. The fat man asked for help to transform himself, as he certainly couldn't be called handsome. In an hour, he was supposed to meet Francesca. However, instead of him, Casanova visited the Bruni family for tea, and announced that his real name was Pietro Fabrizio. He claimed to be Francesca's fiancé, and said he was hiding his identity to ensure the bride's chastity. Suddenly, Bishop Pucci appeared here and met the fake Fabrizio. Pucci intends to execute not only Casanova, but also the writer Bernardo Guardi, because Guardi's books sow discontent in women and insecurity in men. Pucci's people have just captured the drunkard who was posing as the writer. Meanwhile, Lupa arranged spa treatments for Fabrizio. They are stretching him on a table to make him slimmer. The body was smeared with a mixture of fat, mint jelly, and coffee grounds. A mesh is responsible for the facelift. Fabrizio looked in the mirror and admitted that the remedy works. He became much more handsome. Casanova promised Fabrizio that he would replace him at the carnival, and he should continue transforming. In the meantime, Bernardo Guardi was subjected to torture, so that the writer would confess to his sins. But here's the thing, the drunkard can't even read. Pucci asked his new acquaintance to help him find Casanova. Will you help me catch Casanova? Yes, Ilya, I promise. Giovanni is still dreaming about his neighbor Victoria, but then his gaze fell on a courtesan who lured him to her. The experienced lady of the night intends to deprive the young man of his virginity. The adventurer arrived at the masquerade. With a white mask, he is Fabrizio and the fiancé of Francesca. And with a black mask, he is Casanova and the fiancé of Victoria Donato. He is pleased. His favorite has finally settled down and found a worthy bride. Victoria is eager to surrender to Casanova, but her father arrived at the palace. The girl hid under the table and clung to Casanova when he decided to sit down. What are you doing there? The table continued to wobble, even after Francesca sat down with her mother and Victoria's father. And Casanova is behaving very strangely. Francesca looked under the table, and a piglet ran out from there. Victoria managed to escape from the other side. Pucci barged into Casanova's home. It's hard to believe that women can be attracted to something like this. Yes, come to me, Piggy. The Inquisitor grabbed the merchant and continued stretching him on the rack. The man did not like such procedures. Fortunately, he had with him a paper with his own image. This way, he was able to prove that he was the real Pietro Fabrizio, and he lives in the house of the writer Bernardo Guardi. And then everything clicked in Pucci's head. Casanova is the heretic writer. Who else can glorify women like that? Pucci returned to the ball to finally find Casanova. The real Pietro Fabrizio also showed up here. That's how Andrea found out that she and her daughter were deceived. However, the woman was not upset, as she simply adores chubby men. Her husband was enormous. The modest Fabrizio also fell in love with Andrea at first sight. He even grabbed Pucci by the throat when he dared to raise his voice at this beautiful woman. Francesca went for a balloon ride with the fake Fabrizio. Witchcraft, Pucci exclaimed indignantly. Victoria saw the groom with another woman and cried out in despair. However, Fabrizio, upon learning that his fiancée had a lover, was even pleased, because now he is free for Andrea. Casanova managed to charm Francesca and prove that he loves her, but the girl began to suspect that this man was not who he claimed to be. Then she saw a poster with the real Fabrizio. Who are you? I am Casanova. What? I am Giacomo Casanova. It was the worst thing Francesca could hear, since she fell in love with the rogue Casanova. The hot air balloon crashed along with the pozo In the heat, Pucci ran up to him and arrested Casanova, not only because he is a libertine, but also a heretic who wrote his ungodly little books. Casanova admitted this guilt as well to protect Francesco. Vengeful Victoria volunteered to testify against Casanova. I have no doubt we can restore your reputation and return your virginity to you. Can you do that? Oh yes, we are the Catholic Church. We can do everything. But the one who is doing great is Giovanni. He slept with 10 courtesans in one night, and they were all absolutely delighted. This finally caught Victoria's attention, and he confessed his love to her. At the trial, Francesca once again staged a masquerade and confessed that she is actually Bernardo Guardi. And then, Victoria suddenly retracted her testimony. The delighted judge was already ready to release Casanova. But Pucci reminded them that 127 more statements had been filed earlier. The Inquisitor will send both to the gallows, the heretic and the libertine. A huge crowd gathered in the square, eager to witness the execution. A cardinal was also supposed to appear. He almost missed it, but managed to arrive at the very last moment. My nanny, suddenly, the cardinal announced that today is the Pope's birthday, and on this occasion, he is granting pardon to all prisoners. The lovers were immediately freed, and the cardinal invited them to visit his country house. It turned out that under the veil, it was Casanova's mother hiding her face. She did return, as she had promised. In fact, this man was not a cardinal, but just an actor. Soon, the deception was revealed, and the real cardinal arrived in the square. It was his mistress who became Sister Beatrice. All our heroes fled in a carriage to the applause of the crowd. The group overcame the cardinal's men and boarded Papricio's barge. Except Giovanni. He decided that he would become the new Casanova for everyone, especially since Victoria had her eye on him. Liubo also decided to stay and serve the renewed Casanova. The adventurer himself gifted his successor with his sword, and sailed away from the wicked Inquisitor to Genoa. Victoria and Giovanni lived long and happily, but separately. They were just too insatiable. Soon Casanova returned to the streets of Venice and seduced thousands of women. And our hero, along with his beloved Francesca, joined his mother's acting troupe.